It has been said that the impossible is what nobody can do until somebody dreams and somebody does. This is the story of those who both dreamed and did the impossible. This is the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
I was told I had a retinal degenerative disease called retinitis pigmentosa. There wasn't a lot known about it then. As my sight was going rapidly, I was willing to do anything to find a way to stop the loss of vision. I tried a treatment in Russia, and it was much different and a horrifying kind of experience to find how run down it was. Their treatment was injections with what they called animal biostimulants all over your body every day, 12 or 15 of them a day. And then they bathed my eyes with some special solution and transduced ultrasound into them. It was clear that after a few days, even though I had almost over 4 weeks to go, that it wasn't going to work.
Gordon Gund was not alone, soon discovering that thousands of others, of all ages, were also affected. He learned just how little was known about retinal degenerative diseases.
Mindy was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa on February 19, 1971. Joanne was diagnosed several days later. We looked at these two girls and said, how can this be? What can we do?
In the early 70s, there were virtually no good options for a parent who had a child with retinitis pigmentosa. There was inadequate diagnosis, very little understanding of the nature of the disorders, virtually no worthwhile advice on what might happen to a child, whether the disorder would progress once discovered.
We just could not accept this diagnosis, and we had to do something.
While very little was known about RP, an ophthalmologist named Dr. Elliot Burson at Harvard Medical School was working to gain a better understanding of the disease so he could help his patients.
My late husband, Ben, and Dr. Burson discussed the possibility of establishing a multidiscipline approach to retinitis pigmentosa. The Retinitis Pigmentosa Foundation was incorporated in September 17th of 1971. Dr. Burson set up a meeting for my late husband, Ben, and Gordon Gund to meet. Gordon and Ben got together and they had a meeting of the minds of what had to be done.
Gordon Gund and the late Bernard Berman, along with the other founders, proved to be a formidable team and soon joined forces to raise funds for the Retinitis Pigmentosa Foundation, the forerunner to the Foundation Fighting Blindness. Its mission? To fund research that will lead to treatments and cures for retinal degenerative diseases.
I had a phone call from this fellow named Gordon Gund, and we talked for a while. He was telling me about this fledgling board and scientific effort to find the causes and treatments for retinitis pigmentosa. And he invited me to a board meeting. I remember going to the first board meeting and meeting this handful of people that had put this foundation together. And that meeting was held in a suburban motel meeting room outside of Baltimore, and it was pretty unimpressive. Then the impressive part came to me. Listening to these people and understanding their dedication to fighting the fight.
The foundation, at its inception, filled an exceptionally important role. There was just no place where you could get further information, no way to meet others who had a similar problem. The foundation filled a series of needs.
As the foundation attracted affected families and concerned volunteers, they realized that turning their dream into a reality would require extensive funding and an experienced team of passionate researchers. They developed the Scientific Advisory Board to architect the Foundation's research funding program, and in 2004 established the Foundation's clinical arm, the National Neurovision Research Institute.
The clinical arm, or the translational arm, the NNRI, was created to take the laboratory research from the bench and translate it to the patient. Knowledge and discovery, block upon block, that our researchers have built have led us to the point where now it's no longer a hope for a treatment or cure or prevention. It's a reality.
The foundation gives me a tremendous feeling of hope. It's the main connection to updates on research. It's a connection to networking with other people and other retinal degenerative diseases that have talked to other doctors. It's a great way to keep informed and keep up to date and keep inspired.
I literally think every day about the tremendous opportunity we have to change the world for thousands and possibly millions of people, both in the United States and beyond. Over the past 40 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has raised a total of $425 million. $325 million of that has gone directly into research in our public education programs. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without all the volunteers and donors that we have all across the United States. This is really about them, and they provide the energy and the passion and the drive to raise the money to fund the research.
We have funded the research that has really led the way in understanding macular degeneration, the retinal degenerative disease that's responsible for blindness in over 10 million Americans and hundreds of millions around the world. We have led the way in the gene therapy project to restore sight to individuals with the childhood form of blindness, Leber's congenital amaurosis. We've restored sight in an 8-year-old child. We've restored sight in a 44-year-old mother who can now walk her kids to and from school. Really made a tremendous difference in those areas. And we're building on those. We are funding the high impact, high result type of work that is leading the field in retinal degenerative research.
Since its inception in 1971, the Foundation's goal has remained the same: provide hope to millions of people around the world who suffer from retinal degenerative diseases, and one day find cures for all who are affected.
The Foundation's role in helping us to achieve this goal has been critical and brilliant. They have leveraged limited resources opportunistically in a way that has kept dying projects alive, allowed projects that are alive with not enough working capital to advance. And I can say that without their support, I doubt that we would, at this point in time, have identified so many of the genes that cause different forms of retinitis pigmentosa and have as many clinical trials today in progress to actually treat these blinding conditions.
The Foundation is the answer to retinal disease. I mean, the Foundation's the only hope I have of helping my daughters. We're the largest private effort out there to cure these diseases, and if it's going to happen, it's going to happen through us.
We know now that we can get it done. We know the time is right to get it done, and it's up to all of us to do it. There's nobody else that's going to do it. We have clinical trials now waiting in the wings to get going. It's going to take a lot of money. We're going to have to work very hard to fund these clinical trials because clinical research costs a lot more money than research in a laboratory. So it's up to all of us to do what we can, because it's really a matter now of how much funding as far as how much time it's going to take to finish the job and find these treatments and cures and go out of business once and for all.
There's enormous hope, not just based on we're going to put all these things together and it's going to provide wonderful research. Now here is a body of information. It's way more than hope, it's a reality.
It's one thing to be successful in business, be a successful parent, be a successful spouse, but to have the opportunity as an ordinary human being to be part of changing the course of the world in a better direction. And once these research goals are accomplished, they last forever. So for me, it's been a life privilege.
Thank you for dreaming. Thank you for doing. Because of you, our hope is becoming a reality. We are the Foundation Fighting Blindness.